When you think of a beekeeper, what comes to mind? Probably honey, right? But there's so much more than that. They are on the front lines witnessing the health of our planet up close. And their stories, well, they give us this incredibly powerful and often really emotional window into the state of our world. So let's listen in. This quote from urban beekeeper Terry Oxford, wow, it's a real gut punch, isn't it? It's this stark warning that what's happening to bees doesn't just stop with the bees. Their struggle is a signal, a huge, flashing alarm bell for much deeper problems in our ecosystems. 48%. Just let that number sink in for a second. This isn't some projection for the future. This was the actual staggering loss of managed honeybee colonies in the U.S. in just 1 year, from 2022 to 2023. It is a catastrophic figure that tells you a crisis is happening right now, in fields and on rooftops all across the country. So to really understand this crisis, let's start with our first voice from the field, the commercial beekeeper. And I want you to get any image of a quaint hobby out of your head. This is a massive, high-stakes, cross-country operation that our entire agricultural system depends on. I mean, try to imagine this life for a second. You're a commercial beekeeper, maybe someone like Joe Billings out in California. Your whole life is this grueling race against the seasons. You're up before dawn, loading hives onto trucks, hauling them hundreds of miles to follow the blooms. California almonds in February, then maybe you're off to Washington for apples by April. And when you get there, the work has just begun. You've got dozens and dozens of hives to inspect every single day. And the work is it's brutal. We're talking about lifting 80-pound hives again and again and again. But on top of that physical grind, there's this constant biological war they have to wage against things like the Varroa mite, a parasite that is just relentless and absolutely devastating to the colonies. And the scale of this threat, it's huge. According to the USDA, Varroa mites hit a staggering 42% of commercial colonies in the U.S. every single year. This isn't some minor pest problem. It is a full-blown, persistent enemy that requires constant, hands-on management just to keep the bees from being wiped out. Okay, so let's shift gears completely. We're going to move from those vast agricultural fields to a very different kind of landscape. Our second voice is the urban beekeeper. The folks who were tending to hives tucked away on rooftops and in community gardens, finding these little pockets of nature right in the middle of our cities. And you'd think the challenges would be the same, but they couldn't be more different. Out in the country, you're worried about pesticide drift from giant farms. But in the city, it's a whole other playbook of stressors. Heavy metal pollutants from traffic, the constant noise of the city, and a food supply that can be really inconsistent. So you see, urban beekeeping has its own unique set of rules. You're not just a beekeeper, you're also a diplomat, trying to navigate local laws and nervous neighbors. And you're basically a scientist, worrying about stuff you'd never even think of. I mean, research has found beeswax contaminated by traffic fumes, and get this, even the constant vibration from a nearby subway can actually disrupt how bees talk to each other. It's wild. Now, for our third voice, we're going to travel to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, to a tradition that's thousands of years old. This is where Indigenous Mayan beekeepers practice a kind of beekeeping that's deeply woven into their spiritual and cultural identity. It's something else entirely. They work with this native stingless bee called the sunnab, which translates to the royal lady bee. And this is not the European honeybee we're all used to. This is a species that's revered for being so gentle and for producing a honey so powerful it's been used as medicine for centuries. And science has actually confirmed its potent antibacterial properties. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. The royal lady bee is stingless and makes less than a single liter of this medicinal honey a year, and they're kept in these traditional hollowed-out logs. Now compare that to the European honeybee, cranking out up to 40 liters of sweetener-grade honey in modern box hives. It's a totally different philosophy. One is about careful stewardship, the other is about mass production. And here's the heartbreaking part. Even this secret, ancient tradition is in danger. The exact same forces that are hammering industrial beekeepers, massive deforestation for big farms, the widespread use of agrochemicals, are now threatening the very existence of the royal ladybee and the culture that was built around her. So you have a migratory operator in California, an urban keeper in a concrete jungle, and a Mayan guardian of an ancient tradition. 3 wildly different stories, right? And yet, they all share this one common struggle. It's a universal lament that pits this deep passion for these amazing creatures against the really harsh realities of the modern world. They're all caught in this relentless economic squeeze. The price they get for honey is all over the place, the cost of their equipment just keeps going up, and all the while, they are fighting what feels like a losing battle against these devastating colony losses, year after year after year. And, trying to replace those lost colonies is incredibly expensive. A single starter colony can cost up to $250. Now, think about that 48% loss number we talked about. Imagine trying to replace nearly half your operation at that cost. The financial burden is just crippling. And this right here is a huge piece of the puzzle. The global market is just flooded with cheap and honestly often fake or watered-down honey. It drives prices into the ground and makes it almost impossible for the local, ethical beekeepers, the very people we've been hearing from, to compete and actually make a living. This is why the Beekeepers' lament is really a call to action. They need real structural support. We're talking about things like fair trade certifications that guarantee them a fair price, subsidies that actually recognize the vital service of pollination they provide, more funding for bee health research, and, this one is critical, much stronger regulations on the pesticides that are killing their bees. Their work is so often invisible, but it's at the absolute heart of our food system, of our planet's biodiversity. Their struggle really is our struggle. So the question I think we all have to ask ourselves is, what does it truly mean to support them?